The deep space sensors picked up the signals first. Dr. Kim Tae-ho stared at his screen in the research station above Earth. The readings made no sense. Ships were coming toward their solar system. Big ships. Ships that did not belong to any human nation. "Commander Lee Hyun-woo needs to see this," Kim said to his assistant. He copied the data and sent it down to Earth Defense Command. 3 hours later, Lee Hyun-woo stood in the command center looking at the same data. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had fought in many wars before aliens became real. Now he faced something completely new. "How many ships?" Lee asked. 23 that we can see," Captain Park So-min replied. She was his best tactical officer. "They will reach Earth in 6 days." Lee nodded slowly. "Send the message to all defense forces. Code Red. This is not a drill." Across Earth, military bases came alive. Soldiers ran to their positions. Pilots climbed into fighters. Ships left their docks and moved toward the edge of the solar system. Humanity had always wondered if aliens existed. Now they had their answer. On the lead alien ship, Admiral Vextar looked at the blue planet on his screen. His species had conquered 47 worlds. This would be number 48. The scanner showed primitive technology, no threat at all. "These humans still use chemical rockets," his science officer reported. "Their weapons are basic metal projectiles. This will be easy." Vextar smiled. His teeth were sharp and white. "Send the standard message. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed." Lieutenant Choi Minho received the alien message at Earth Defense Command. The translation software worked slowly. When it finished, Choi's face went pale. "Sir," he called to Commander Lee, "they want us to surrender. They say we have 1 day to decide." Lee read the message. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Consortium. They said Earth now belonged to them. Humans would become workers for their empire. Those who refused would die. "Send our reply," Lee said. His voice was calm but cold. The message went back to the alien fleet in perfect consortium language. It was short. It said simply, "No." Vextar read the human response and laughed. "They refuse? These primitives refuse the consortium? Should we attack immediately?" his weapons officer asked. "No," Vextar said. "Let them think about it. Fear makes surrender easier." But humans were not thinking about surrender. They were thinking about war. Park So-min worked through the night, planning defenses. She studied the alien ships through long-range telescopes. They were big and powerful, but they moved in predictable patterns. They stayed close together like a flock of birds. "They fight as one group," she told Lee. "They expect enemies to do the same." "But we won't," Lee said. "No, sir, we won't." Earth's defense fleet was small compared to the alien ships. Humanity had only built these ships in the last 50 years. But the ships were fast and could separate into many small groups. On the alien flagship, Vextar watched human ships move into strange positions. They did not form a battle line like civilized species. Instead, they scattered across space like seeds in the wind. "What are they doing?" he asked his tactical officer. "Unknown, Admiral. This formation makes no sense." Vextar felt his first moment of doubt. In all his conquests, enemy fleets had formed proper battle lines. They fought with honor and accepted defeat when outgunned. These humans acted differently. The first battle began when human fighters attacked from 6 directions at once. They moved fast and struck hard, then disappeared before the aliens could respond. Vextar's ships tried to turn and fight, but humans attacked from new directions. Captain Han Yu-jin led one fighter group. She dove her ship under the alien fleet and fired missiles up into their engine sections. Other human pilots attacked the alien sensors and communication arrays. They did not try to destroy the big ships. Instead, they made the aliens blind and confused. "Where are they?" Vextar shouted. His screens showed human fighters everywhere and nowhere. Every time his guns pointed at one group, another group attacked from behind. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 7 alien ships were damaged or destroyed. The humans had lost 3 fighters, 3 single-person fighters against a fleet that had conquered worlds. Vextar stared at the damage reports. This was impossible. Primitive humans had hurt his mighty fleet. They had used tactics he had never seen before. They fought like wild animals, not civilized beings. "Admiral," his communications officer called, "we are receiving another message from the humans." The message was longer this time. It explained human history. It told about thousands of years of war. It described battles where small forces defeated large armies through cunning and courage. It ended with another simple statement: "Leave now, or we will show you what war really means." Vexatar felt cold fear touch his heart. These humans were not like other species. They did not surrender when faced with superior force. They fought harder. They fought smarter. They fought like they enjoyed it. "Send word to the consortium," he ordered. "We need more ships." Back on Earth, Commander Lee watched the alien fleet retreat to a safe distance. He knew they would return with reinforcements. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. "How long do we have?" Park So-min asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3, Lee replied. "They will bring everything they have." "Will it be enough?" Lee looked at Earth through the command center's big window. His home world was beautiful and blue and peaceful. Soon it would become a battlefield. The aliens thought they understood war. They were about to learn they were wrong. "It will have to be," he said. 3 weeks later, the alien fleet returned. This time, 10,000 ships darkened the space around Earth's solar system. Admiral Vextar commanded the largest war fleet in consortium history. He had brought ships from 50 different worlds. Nothing could stand against such power. "Begin the assault," Vextar ordered. "Show these humans what real war looks like." But when his fleet entered the solar system, they found something impossible. The space between planets was full of weapons. Humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. General Yoon, Seo-jun watched from his command post on the moon. He had spent 3 weeks preparing for this moment. Every asteroid, every space station, every piece of human technology had become part of the defense. Enemy fleet entering the asteroid belt, reported Admiral Kim Hee-jin from her ship near Jupiter, beginning Phase 1. The asteroid belt had always been a place where humans mined metals and ice. Now it became a killing field. Humans had attached rockets to thousands of asteroids. When the alien fleet came close, the rocks began to move. Vextar watched in horror as asteroids accelerated toward his ships. These were not weapons. They were mountains flying through space at incredible speed. His energy shields could stop laser beams and missiles. They could not stop a rock the size of a city. "Evasive action," he screamed. But it was too late. The first asteroid struck his flagship's escort vessel. The ship simply vanished in a cloud of metal and fire. More asteroids followed. The alien fleet tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. For every asteroid they destroyed, 10 more came at them from different angles. Captain Han Yu-jin led her fighter squadron between the chaos. While alien ships dodged flying mountains, her pilots attacked their engines and weapons. The humans had learned to fight in 3 dimensions while the aliens still thought in flat battle lines. "Their formations are breaking apart," Han reported to General Yoon. "The asteroid attack worked." "Good," Yoon replied. "Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was even worse for the aliens. Human ships had been hiding behind planets and moons. Now they attacked from everywhere at once. But these were not the same ships the aliens had fought before. Engineer Lim Dong-hyuk had spent 3 weeks studying captured alien technology. Human ships now had energy shields and powerful new weapons. They had learned to copy alien equipment and make it better. "Impossible," Vextar whispered as human ships tore through his fleet. How do they have our technology? His science officer checked the readings 3 times before answering. Sir, they are using our own weapons against us, but they have made improvements we never thought of. The battle moved from the asteroid belt to Mars. The red planet had been turned into a fortress world. Millions of humans waited in underground bunkers with weapons and supplies. When the alien ground forces landed, they found hell waiting for them. The aliens expected humans to fight like other species. They expected organized armies with clear battle lines. Instead, they found ghosts who struck from shadows and vanished before anyone could respond. Major Hong Kyung-min commanded the Mars Defense Forces. He had studied every war in human history. He knew that a smaller force could defeat a larger one if they fought smart. "Let them land," he told his officers. "Let them think they are winning. Then we show them the truth." The alien ground forces took the main cities easily. Too easily. They found empty buildings and abandoned streets. The humans had vanished like smoke. Vextar began to feel worried again. "Where are the defenders?" he asked his ground commander. "We are still searching, Admiral. The cities appear to be empty." That night, the attacks began. Human soldiers appeared everywhere and nowhere. They struck alien supply lines, destroyed communication posts, and vanished back into the darkness. The aliens tried to hunt them, but hunting humans was like trying to catch shadows. The siege of Mars lasted 3 months. Every day, more alien soldiers died. They began to fear the dark. They jumped at strange sounds. Some refused to leave their ships at all. "These humans are not natural," the ground commander reported. "They do not fight with honor. They are like demons." The aliens had superior numbers and better weapons, but humans had something else. They had rage. Every human on Mars remembered Earth's cities burning under alien bombardment. They remembered friends and family who had died. Their anger made them fight harder than any alien could understand. Captain Shin Boram led the evacuation of civilians from the outer colonies. Her ships moved constantly, never staying in one place long enough for aliens to catch them. She saved thousands of human lives and turned them into soldiers hungry for revenge. The battle for Jupiter's moons was the worst yet. The moon Io had been turned into a weapons factory. When aliens tried to take it, they found humans who would rather die than surrender. The fighting was close and brutal. Aliens and humans killed each other with knives when their guns ran empty. The aliens had never seen such fierce resistance. Most species surrendered when facing certain death. Humans fought harder. Admiral Kim Hae-jin commanded the defense of the outer system. Her ships were outnumbered 50-1, but they knew the territory. They used Jupiter's radiation and Saturn's rings as weapons. They led alien ships into trap after trap. "How many ships have we lost?" Vexitar asked after 6 months of fighting. 60%, Admiral, his aide replied quietly. "Maybe more." Vexitar could not believe it. His mighty fleet had been destroyed by primitives. These humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They used tactics that made no sense. They turned everything into a weapon. They never, ever gave up. "Sir," his communications officer called. "Message from the Consortium High Command. They want a full report." Vextar knew what he had to tell them. He had to explain how the greatest fleet in galactic history had been broken by one primitive species. He had to admit that humans were different from every other race in the galaxy. The final battle came when human ships broke through the alien fleet's defenses. They struck directly at Vextar's flagship. The humans had learned to coordinate thousands of ships like a single organism. They moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, but deadlier than anything in nature. Commander Lee Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship. It was built from captured alien technology and human determination. Around him, his officers worked with calm efficiency. They had learned to fight gods and had proven that gods could bleed. "Admiral Vextar is requesting terms," reported Lieutenant Choi Min-ho. Lee looked at the alien fleet. Most of their ships were damaged or destroyed. The survivors were trying to retreat. 3 months ago, these aliens had demanded human surrender. Now they begged for mercy. "Tell him we have no terms," Lee said. "Tell him to remember this day when his people think about attacking other worlds." The alien fleet limped away from Earth's solar system. Behind them, they left a graveyard of ships and the knowledge that humans were unlike any enemy they had ever faced. But Vextar carried something else with him: fear. Deep, cold fear that would spread through the consortium like a disease. The humans had not just won a battle. They had announced their arrival on the galactic stage in the most terrifying way possible, and in the ruins of their solar system, humanity began to plan. They had tasted victory against impossible odds. Now, they wanted more. The scattered human fleet spread across the galaxy like seeds in a cosmic wind. They had lost their homeworld, but they had gained something more valuable. They had learned that the mighty consortium could be beaten. Captain Bei Young-Soo commanded the Ghost Fleet, 30 ships that had escaped Earth's destruction. His vessels moved through space like phantoms, striking without warning and vanishing before the enemy could respond. The consortium called them the Death Squadron, but humans simply called them family. "Target acquired," reported his navigation officer from the bridge of the stolen consortium battleship they now called Freedom's Edge. "Consortium supply convoy, 12 ships, minimal escort." Bay studied the tactical display. The convoy carried weapons and food to consortium forces fighting human survivors in other systems. In the old days, attacking supply ships would have been considered dishonorable. Those days were dead. "Begin the attack," Bay ordered. The human ships appeared from behind a dead moon like hungry wolves. They had learned to modify their engines to produce no heat signature. They painted their hulls black to absorb light. They had become invisible to consortium sensors. The convoy never had a chance. Human fighters swarmed over the escort vessels, while the larger ships targeted the transports. In 15 minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed or captured. The humans took what they needed and left the rest burning in space. Lieutenant Jang Woo-sung watched the battle from his infiltration ship. He was not there to fight. He was there to learn. His job was to study how consortium species lived, thought, and communicated. Information was becoming humanity's most powerful weapon. 3 weeks later, Yang walked through the streets of Nexus Prime, the consortium's regional capital. He looked exactly like a member of the local species. Human genetic technology had advanced far beyond what the aliens thought possible. The skin grafts and bone modifications were painful, but they made him invisible. The humans attack at random, he heard one alien official tell another. There is no pattern to their strikes. Jang smiled inside his disguise. There was a pattern. Humans targeted everything that kept the consortium war machine running. Supply lines, communication networks, fuel depots, training facilities. They were slowly strangling their enemy's ability to fight. Dr. Song Mi-young worked in her hidden laboratory on a captured consortium medical ship. She had been studying alien biology for months, looking for weaknesses. What she found was both fascinating and terrifying. All consortium species share similar nervous systems, she reported to the other human commanders during their encrypted communication. I have developed a toxin that affects their brain chemistry. It causes panic, confusion, and eventually, death. Commander Oh Hae-won listened from her intelligence ship hidden in an asteroid field. She had been gathering information about consortium military strategies and finding their command posts. How do we deploy it? Oh asked. Water systems, air recyclers, food supplies, Song replied. The toxin is invisible and odorless. By the time symptoms appear, it will be too late. The first bioweapon attacks began on 3 consortium worlds. Simultaneously, Military bases found their soldiers collapsing from mysterious illnesses. Panic spread faster than the toxin itself. Word traveled through alien communication networks that humans had developed weapons that could kill without being seen. Admiral Vextar received the reports in his rebuilt headquarters. 6 months after the disaster at Earth, he was still trying to explain to his superiors how humans had defeated the greatest fleet in galactic history. Now he faced something worse. They are not fighting like any known species, his intelligence officer reported. They target civilians, infrastructure, everything. They show no mercy to prisoners. They seem to enjoy causing fear. Vextar studied the tactical displays showing human attacks across consortium space. Red dots marked destroyed facilities, hijacked ships, and compromised communication networks. The pattern looked like a disease spreading through the galaxy. "How many ships do they have?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. Our estimates range from 50 to 500. They never attack in large groups. They appear, strike, and vanish. Some ships have been reported in battles on opposite sides of the galaxy within days of each other." "That's impossible," Vextar said. "Yes, sir. But it keeps happening." What Vextar did not know was that humans had learned to capture consortium ships and use them against their former owners. Every victory gave humanity better technology and more vessels. The Ghost Fleet was growing stronger with each battle. Captain Hun Yu-jin led a strike force against a consortium research station. The facility was developing new weapons to use against human survivors. She ensured it would never complete that work. Her ships surrounded the station like a pack of hunting animals. The research staff tried to surrender, offering to share their scientific knowledge in exchange for their lives. Han's response was transmitted on all consortium frequencies, so everyone could hear it. "You burned our cities. You killed our children. You wanted to make us slaves." Her voice was cold and clear. "We have no mercy left for your kind." The research station was destroyed completely. Its wreckage became a monument to human anger that drifted through space for other species to see and remember. The psychological warfare was perhaps the most effective part of the human campaign. Stories spread through consortium space about the Death Squadron and their terrible revenge. Alien soldiers began to refuse assignments in systems where humans had been spotted. Some stories were true, others were exaggerated. A few were completely false, spread by human intelligence officers to increase fear. The truth did not matter. What mattered was that consortium forces were beginning to break under the pressure of fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. Colonel Nam Jin-woo specialized in deep penetration raids. His soldiers could live behind enemy lines for months, gathering intelligence and striking strategic targets. They had learned to eat alien food, speak alien languages, and think like their enemies. "The consortium is starting to crack," he reported during a secret meeting of human commanders. "Their forces are spread too thin trying to defend everything. Morale is falling. Some units have mutinied rather than face us in battle." The humans had learned something important about their enemies. The consortium was not really united. It was dozens of different species held together by fear and force. When that unity began to break down, the entire empire would collapse. Bei Young-soo looked at the star charts showing human operations across the galaxy. Red dots marked successful attacks. Blue dots showed consortium forces retreating. Green dots indicated systems where local species were beginning to rebel against their consortium masters. "We are winning," he said to his officers. "Not just battles, but the war itself." "What are our orders for the next phase?" asked his tactical officer. Bei smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "We hunt their leaders, every admiral, every general, every politician who ordered the attack on Earth. We show the galaxy what happens to those who make war on humanity." The Ghost Fleet disappeared back into the darkness between stars, carrying death and terror to their enemies. Behind them, consortium worlds burned and alien commanders looked over their shoulders, wondering when the humans would come for them. In the deepest parts of space, other alien species watched and learned. They saw what happened to those who underestimated humanity. They began to whisper a new truth through the galaxy. Humans were not prey. They were predators, and they were very, very good at hunting. The Night of Silent Stars began at exactly midnight, Consortium Standard Time. Across 47 worlds, Consortium military leaders went to sleep in secure bunkers and fortified compounds. By dawn, they were all dead. Colonel Nam Jin-woo stood in the bedroom of Admiral Thexmore, one of the Consortium's most feared commanders. The alien's body lay motionless on the floor, killed by a single precise strike. Nam had learned to kill, silently, leaving no trace of his presence except death. "Target eliminated," he whispered into his communication device. "Moving to secondary objective." Across the galaxy, similar reports came in from dozens of human operatives. Major Hong Kyung-min had infiltrated a consortium command center on the industrial world of Corvex Prime. Dr. An Subin had eliminated 3 high-ranking officials on the diplomatic world of Centauri's 7th. Captain Shin Bo-ram had destroyed the entire consortium war college, along with its staff and students. The coordination was perfect. Years of planning had led to this single night of terror that would shake the consortium to its foundation. Humanity had learned that cutting off the head was more effective than fighting the body. Admiral Vextar received the first reports while reviewing battle plans in his supposedly secure command ship. His aide's face was pale with shock as he delivered the news. "Sir, we have lost contact with 43 senior commanders across 17 sectors. Initial reports suggest simultaneous attacks on secured facilities." Vextar felt his blood turn cold. "Attacks? What kind of attacks?" "Unknown, sir. No signs of orbital bombardment or large-scale assault. The facilities appear undamaged from the outside, but everyone inside is dead." The implications hit Vextar like a physical blow. Humans had somehow placed operatives throughout consortium space, close enough to strike at the most protected individuals in the galaxy. The death toll was devastating, but the psychological impact was worse. "How is this possible?" Vextar asked, though he already knew the answer. Humans had been infiltrating consortium society for months, maybe years. They looked like other species, spoke like natives, and thought like predators studying their prey. Dr. An Subin had developed the infiltration protocols that made the Night of Silent Stars possible. She understood that war was fought in the mind as much as on the battlefield. Fear was a weapon more powerful than any bomb. "The key is patience," she had explained to other human commanders during their planning sessions. "We place our people everywhere, in every institution, every military unit, every government office. Then we wait. When the time comes, they strike." Simultaneously, the waiting was over. Consortium military leadership was crippled in a single night. Surviving commanders were too terrified to leave their bunkers. Some requested immediate transfer away from human-controlled space. Others simply deserted their posts and fled. Captain Shin Bo-ram monitored consortium communications from her stealth ship. The alien networks were full of panic and confusion. Military units were receiving contradictory orders from officers who might already be dead. Supply lines collapsed as transport crews refused to enter systems where humans operated. "They, are starting to crack," she reported to the other Ghost Fleet commanders. "Morale is collapsing faster than we projected." The humans had learned something important about their enemies. The consortium ruled through fear, but they had never faced an enemy that was better at using terror as a weapon. Now their own tactics were being turned against them. Colonel Nam Jin-woo's next mission took him to the heart of consortium space. Intelligence had located the main command center where surviving military leaders were hiding. It was protected by energy shields, automated defenses, and a full division of elite guards. Nam studied the facility for 3 days before making his move. He had learned that no defense was perfect if you understood how your enemy thought. Consortium. Security focused on preventing large-scale attacks. They never expected a single human to walk through their front door. The infiltration suit made Nam look exactly like a consortium maintenance worker. His forged identification passed every security check. He moved through the facility like he belonged there, carrying tools and equipment that were actually sophisticated weapons. The command center's main briefing room held 23 of the most senior consortium military leaders. They were discussing new strategies to fight the human threat, unaware that death was already among them. Nam activated his weapons during the middle of their meeting. The room filled with invisible toxin that Dr. Song Mi-young had developed specifically for this mission. The alien commanders collapsed within seconds, their nervous systems shutting down faster than they could call for help. By the time security forces reached the briefing room, Nam was gone. He had vanished into the facility's service tunnels like smoke, leaving behind only the bodies of his enemies and the message that nowhere was safe from human revenge. The psychological impact of the assassination campaign spread through consortium space like wildfire. Military academies closed as instructors and students fled. Government officials requested transfers to sectors far from human activity. Some species began secretly negotiating separate peace agreements with humanity. Major Hong Kyung-min led a team of specialists who targeted consortium intelligence networks. They had learned to think like their enemies, to predict their actions and counter their strategies. Every consortium plan was met with a human response that seemed to anticipate their every move. How do they always know what we are going to do? Asked General Korthak, one of the few surviving consortium commanders. He was reviewing the latest battle reports with his staff, trying to understand how humans consistently outmaneuvered superior forces. His intelligence officer hesitated before answering. Sir, we believe they have infiltrated our communication networks. Every order we send, every plan we make, they seem to know about it almost immediately. Then we use coded communications, encrypted channels. We have tried, sir. They break our codes faster than we can create new ones. What the consortium did not realize was that humans had been studying their technology and psychology for months. Every captured ship, every interrogated prisoner, every piece of alien equipment provided new insights into how their enemies thought and operated. Dr. Song Mi-young had developed psychological profiles of major consortium species. She understood their fears, their cultural weaknesses, their military traditions. This knowledge became the foundation for targeted terror campaigns that struck at the heart of alien morale. The Vorthak species values honor above life, she explained to other human commanders. Defeat them in single combat and their entire unit will surrender. The Zelthrians are hive-minded. Kill their leaders and the rest become helpless. Every species has a breaking point if you know where to apply pressure. The human understanding of their enemies was growing more sophisticated with each battle. They learned to exploit cultural differences between consortium species, turning allies against each other. They spread rumors and disinformation that caused panic and confusion. They had become masters of psychological warfare. Captain Bae Young-soo watched the tactical displays showing consortium forces across the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where human operations were active. Yellow zones showed regions where consortium control was weakening. Green zones indicated systems where local species were openly rebelling against their former masters. We are not just winning battles, he told his officers. We are destroying their ability to fight. Fear is spreading faster than our ships. Soon they will break completely. The final phase of the psychological campaign began when humans started broadcasting captured consortium military communications. Alien citizens heard their own leaders admitting that humanity could not be defeated through conventional warfare. They heard plans to sacrifice entire worlds to slow the human advance. Panic spread through consortium civilian populations. Riots broke out on dozens of worlds as different species blamed each other for the war with humanity. The unity that had held the consortium together for centuries began to collapse under the pressure of fighting an enemy that seemed to understand them better than they understood themselves. Admiral Vexatar stood in his empty command center, looking at reports from across the galaxy. Most of his officers were dead or missing. His fleets were scattered and demoralized. The great consortium military machine was falling apart, and he could not stop it. "Sir," his remaining aide approached carefully, "we have received a message from the humans." Vexatar took the communication device with trembling hands. The message was short and direct, spoken in perfect consortium military language by a human voice that sounded calm and confident. "This is Commander Lee Hyunwoo of the Human Defense Forces. Your war machine is broken. Your leaders are dead. Your unity is destroyed. Surrender now, or we will finish what you started when you attacked our home." Vexatar realized that humanity had won something more valuable than military victories. They had won the fear and respect of the entire galaxy. Fleet Admiral Quan Dae-jung stood on the bridge of the massive human dreadnought that now served as his flagship. Around him, officers worked with quiet efficiency, coordinating the largest human fleet ever assembled. 2 years after the destruction of Earth, humanity had built an armada that made the old consortium forces look like toys. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "long-range sensors are detecting the consortium home fleet. 1,000 ships defending their capital world." Quan studied the display showing the heart of the consortium empire. The planet below was home to 50 billion aliens from dozens of different species. It was the center of galactic civilization, protected by the most powerful defenses ever created. "Signal the fleet," Quan ordered. "Begin the final approach." 3,000 human ships moved toward the consortium capital like a tide of death. These were not the desperate survivors who had fled Earth's destruction. These were the ships of Fi, a species that had learned to wage war better than any other race in the galaxy. General Park Sung-ho watched from his command ship as human ground forces prepared for planetary invasion. His soldiers wore armor built from captured alien technology, carried weapons that fired pure energy, and moved with the coordinated precision of a machine designed for killing. "First wave ready for deployment," he reported to Admiral Quan. Estimated. "Resistance is heavy, but we have studied their defensive patterns. They cannot stop us." On the consortium capital world, Admiral Vexatar stood in the Planetary Defense Center. He was one of the few senior commanders who had survived the human assassination campaign. Around him, representatives from 47 species tried to coordinate a defense against an enemy they no longer understood. "Their technology should be inferior," insisted General Mordak of the hegemony species. "They are primitives who learn to use our equipment. We created these weapons. We should know how to defeat them." Vexatar looked at the tactical displays, showing the approaching human fleet. Every ship was different, modified and improved beyond original specifications. Humans had taken consortium technology and made it better through methods that alien scientists could not understand. "They are not primitives anymore," Vexatar said quietly. "They have become something else. Something we created when we attacked their world." The first phase of the battle began in space above the capital world. Consortium defenders formed traditional battle lines, expecting humans to do the same. Instead, the human fleet dispersed into hundreds of small groups that attacked from every direction simultaneously. Captain Han Yu-jin led one of these attack groups. Her ships moved through the enemy formation like sharks through a school of fish, striking vital targets and vanishing before defenders could respond. The consortium fleet tried to maintain formation, but human tactics made coordination impossible. "Enemy flagship identified," her weapons officer reported. "Admiral Vexatar's command ship heavily defended." Hans smiled coldly. Vexatar had been There when Earth burned, now he would learn what humans had learned from that lesson. All ships focus fire on the flagship. Let's end this war the way it began. The human attack ships swarmed over Vextar's vessel like angry wasps. Their weapons cut through shields and armor with surgical precision. The great consortium flagship, symbol of galactic power for centuries, began to break apart under human fire. Vextar stood on his bridge as explosions shook the ship around him. Through the view screen, he could see human vessels dancing between the wreckage of his fleet. They moved with deadly grace, each ship perfectly coordinated with the others. "How do they do it?" he asked his tactical officer. "How do they fight? As one mind?" "Unknown, sir. Our analysts believe they have developed some form of battlefield telepathy." The truth was simpler and more terrifying. Humans had learned to think like pack hunters. They had always been social creatures, but war had taught them to coordinate their actions with deadly efficiency. Each pilot, each ship, each fleet element moved as part of a larger organism designed for killing. The space battle ended with the complete destruction of the consortium home fleet. Not a single human ship was lost. The defenders had been swept aside like leaves in a hurricane, their superior numbers meaningless against human tactical superiority. Dr. Choi Yeon-soo watched the planetary bombardment begin from her research vessel. She had been studying consortium psychology and culture, preparing for the occupation that would follow military victory. Her work would determine how humanity ruled its new galactic empire. "The bombardment is surgical," she reported. To Admiral Kwan, "We are targeting only military installations and government centers. Civilian casualties are minimal." This was not mercy. This was calculation. Humans had learned that ruling through fear was more effective than ruling through force. The alien populations would see their military destroyed while their cities remained untouched. The message was clear. Resistance meant death, but submission meant survival. Ambassador Lee Yoon-ji prepared for her role as humanity's representative in post-war negotiations. She had studied every species in the consortium, learning their languages, customs, and political structures. Soon she would be writing the laws that governed half the galaxy. "The surrender terms are ready," she told Admiral Kwan during their final planning session. "Complete demilitarization, reparations for Earth's destruction, and human oversight of all government functions." "And if they refuse?" Lee's expression was cold as winter. "Then we demonstrate what happened to the last species that refused human terms." The ground invasion began with precision drops of human forces at strategic locations across the capital world. General Park's soldiers moved through alien cities like ghosts, appearing wherever resistance formed and vanishing when organized defense was impossible. The aliens tried to fight using conventional military tactics. They formed battle lines, established defensive positions, and coordinated unit movements according to their military manuals. Everything they did was predictable to humans who had spent years studying consortium warfare. Major Hong Kyung-min led his infiltration teams deep into the alien capital city. They moved through service tunnels and maintenance shafts, striking at communication centers and command posts. Within hours, consortium forces lost the ability to coordinate their defense. "Resistance is collapsing," he reported to General Park. "Their command structure is broken. Individual units are surrendering rather than face us in open combat." The battle for the consortium capital lasted 6 hours. When it ended, human forces controlled every major city, military base, and government facility on the planet. The heart of galactic civilization had fallen to a species that had been primitive savages just 3 years earlier. Admiral Vextar was brought before Fleet Admiral Kwan as a prisoner. His uniform was torn and dirty, his proud bearing broken by defeat. Around him, other consortium leaders waited to learn their fate. "You wanted to make us slaves," Kwan said, his voice calm and matter-of-fact. "You burned our world and killed our people. Now you will learn what it means to serve a superior species." Vexatar looked up at the human admiral. What do you want? From us? Everything, Quan replied. Your fleets, your worlds, your technology, your obedience. You will spend the rest of your lives working to repair the damage you caused. And if you are very good, we might let your children live free. The formal surrender took place in the ruins of the Consortium Senate building. Representatives from 47 species signed documents that placed their entire civilizations under human authority. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy so that every alien world could see the new reality. Ambassador Lee read the surrender terms in a clear, steady voice. The Consortium military would be disbanded. All weapons of mass destruction would be turned over to human forces. Alien governments would operate under human supervision. Reparations would be paid for Earth's destruction until the debt was satisfied. The age of the Consortium is ended, she declared. The age of humanity has begun. 50 years later, Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood in his laboratory on New Earth, the fortress world that had replaced humanity's destroyed homeworld. He was old now, one of the few humans who remembered the time before the war. Around him, young scientists worked on projects that would have been impossible in the old days. Through his window, he could see ships coming and going from the massive orbital stations that surrounded the planet. Most were crewed by aliens serving in the human defense forces. Their species had learned to fight like humans, think like humans, and serve the new galactic order. Professor, one of his students approached. She was young, born after the war, and had never known a galaxy where humans were not the dominant species. The new alien contact protocols are ready for your review. Kim took the documents and smiled. Another species had been discovered at the galaxy's edge. They would soon learn about humanity and decide whether to submit peacefully or face the consequences of resistance. Make sure they understand the choice, he told his student. Submission means protection and prosperity. Resistance means they learn why the galaxy whispers our name in terror. In the deepest archives of the Galactic Library, historians struggled to understand how one primitive species had conquered thousands of worlds in less than 5 years.